Welcome back. This is still the POLITY reaching you live from Abuja. I've been joined now by two guests in the house to do justice to the topics I earlier mentioned. To my right, I have Tajuddin Ahmed Tijani. He's an APC member and also a policy analyst. To my left, I have Mr. Duke Alamboye. He is the Executive Director of Green Assembly Initiative. He's also a policy analyst and a PDP member. Welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you. All right, so let's start with, what's happening currently or what just rounded up as regards the Nigerian situation, which is the ministerial screening. Yesterday we had a bit of a rowdy session with a former minister being screened. But generally, I'd like to get your overview before we go into specifics. How do you rate the process so far? Let's start with you, Mr. Duke.
Well, thank you very much. I think we've also experienced a lot of improvements in the screening process. I want to give the Senate about 70% for the good job they've done. We've seen very obvious objections. We've seen very obvious issues discussed. We've seen questions come up from the Senate. We've seen deliberate attempts to scrutinize nominees from the president, and this is the way it should go. We've also seen where some people have just taken a bow and gone because of antecedents, obvious antecedents and all of that. So generally, I want to say that there's an improvement to what it used to be in a case where the nominees just come and then take a bow and leave. Almost all the nominees screened. We've seen 47 nominees screened, and it was not an easy process. We've seen the Senate take up even public opinion, public petitions into consideration while going on this screening. So I think they've done fantastically very well, even though we still need lots of improvement in some quarters. But I think, to be fair to the Senate, they've improved in the standard of screening.
All right. Just to clarify, when you say they've improved, are you referring to older screens, or you mean within this screening period?
Yeah, well, I'm referring to the other assemblies that we've witnessed. Mostly the President Muhammad Buhari's administration down to the Goodluck Jonathan. We've improved. We are really telling the world that we are Nigerians and that we are improving our democratic process. And one of it is the selection process that they've done. Subsequently, we've seen where they just come take a bow and then all of that. Now, even the nomination was not easy. We've seen from the nominations, we've seen that the further character insinuations or argument has even been covered. The president, in his benevolency and wisdom in democracy, has touched almost every state in the country. So that's one factor that has differentiated the old Senate to this new Senate. They have also put that in consideration, and you can see in the House, people are clamoring and happy that their states are represented. So I think if you put all of these indices together, I want to give a pass mark to this 12th assembly, other than in contrary to the other senates that we've witnessed in time past.
All right, that's fair enough. Mr. Tijani, do you agree with that, or do you think the process has been, all around the best, and are we getting the appropriate amount of screening and scrutiny being given to the people who, carry forth the agenda of the president?
Yes, of course, there is improvement. If you look at the process, as my colleagues have said earlier, that if you look at it the way it goes in the Ninth Assembly, mostly when nominees came, they came and just take a bow and go. While in normal circumstances, there are certain people that when they came, if you look at the antecedent, the senators that were there in the House of Representatives, members of the House of Representatives and the senators, so it is the tradition for them to take a bow and go. Of course, it is showing benevolence. Of course, it is showing understanding, mutual benefit, mutual understanding between the members. So they have said earlier that if someone can be elected as a representative, of course, that person is eligible to hold any position in the country. Firstly, let me commend the president for nominating Nigerians that are capable, that are up to task. They can be able to do it. We have seen how the Senate has screened them. We have seen how the improvement in the screen, and even a nominee that has said that he has make arrangement of leaving the country. Later on, he had his name was called. He came there. That's why we said that whoever the Senate has a responsibility upon Nigerians to synchronize everything that is on the process. I commend the 9th National Assembly. What had happened was that we have seen yesterday in case of certain nominee that decided to shun the invitation of the Senate, while fortunately for him, he was there to appear before them. They are the one who will give verdict that he should be in the Federal Executive Council or not. Then they decided to synchronize him. Why did you decide to shun our invitation earlier on that we gave you, that you come here? We have a mandate of the people to explain to Nigerians certain things in your ministries. We want to see what has gone on so that we will be accountable to our people. Our people can be able to see that this is clear what we are doing. The nominee decided to shun, and later on he appeared and he was scrutinized. He was asked. You have seen, everybody, all Nigerians have seen what had gone on. And later on the nominee apologized to the Senate, and later on he was given, perhaps he certainly they were confirmed yesterday, certain number of Senate, there were a certain number of nominees, they were confirmed, and later on the other 3 that are going on security screening, which we hope that the security agencies will expeditiously do the right thing so that the country will move forward. We are waiting for these ministers to come on board so that the proper steps in taking the affairs of the country should go without any hindrance.
Oh, that's fair enough. Well, some persons argue that the 8th Assembly led by Bukola Saraki, did a little bit more in terms of, holding these nominees accountable. But that aside, with the way it ended, after the fracas and the ruckus and trying to hold the former minister to account, he ended up being screened. And we saw that the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, actually paid a visit to the villa, and persons speculate that arrangement probably led to the passing of, or the screening of all the nominees. So the question now is, have they really escaped the tag of rubber stamp? And also, I'd like to get your thoughts on this level of relationship between the executive and the legislature. I think we're seeing constant visits here and there. Is it the best for democracy in terms of being able to hold accountable one another? Actually?
Well, as the democracy we are playing in Nigeria, we have 3 arms of government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And of course, we expect each arm of government to function optimally for the benefit of Nigerians. Seeing the president visiting, as they are legislative, while this one are executive, we don't expect them to fight. We expect them to respect the sanctity of democracy. We expect all of them to work for the benefit of all Nigerians. We expect them to work for the people of the Nigerians that gave them their mandate. They were all being elected. So we hope that there will be synergy between the executive and the legislature so that we have smooth government, smooth running of government. But anyway, we want a situation whereby each of the arm of government perform its function, to have synergy for the Senate President to visit the villa. For the Senate, I think they are trying to establish synergy. We don't expect them to be rubber stamp. We expect them to have full autonomy to perform their oversight function. Their work is to make laws, to have oversight function, and also all other work that is stipulated by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So their constant visit, it is not sufficient unless when they came up with certain things that is against the people, then Nigerians would rise to go against it. But we hope that they are being elected by the people and they are there to respect the sanctity of democracy and also to hold the executive accountable on whatever process or whatever action the executive is taking. The legislature is there to checkmate them so that they work for the interest of the people, not the interest of any executive or anything. So their synergy should not be of any suspicious. But of course, when we see that they are trying to go contrary to what we expect, contrary to the mandate that the Nigerian people have given them, then of course we can call them to order. We can, however, call them to the process was called. Anybody that decided to do otherwise, the Nigerian people, their constituents are there to checkmate them in order to see that we have smooth running of government.
All right, that's fair enough. I pose the same question to you, and particularly using the issue of former Minister Festus Keyamo. What did you make of that? that particular school.
I want to quickly commend the senator that stood to his feet yesterday to bring back those thoughts. It's sad that when ministers are appointed, they just go into functionalities without looking at the laws anymore. It's now as if every money being appropriated is left for them to execute, forgetting that the legislation had oversight functions on those monies or those finances or those projects that are executed. So I think yesterday and for once they have thank God that they've humbled the character of Festus Keyamo. He was almost becoming a lord in this recent democracy. The way he addresses people, the way he manages, is not managing his utterances anymore. What played on the floor of the Senate yesterday was so unfortunate that he is being brought back to book. Is against his integrity. It tells on his integrity and his reputation he has built. Well, I want to plead especially to him that he should take things very easy. Governance is not fighting. If you see the way he talks at even oppositions, we're all Nigerians. It's just a game of politics. We must respect our feelings. We must respect our decisions, our opinions. That doesn't mean that we have to be so harsh on. He has been so harsh and on opposition, which is not good. And today the House or the Senate is made up of all political parties, people that won elections in their various political parties, and then you cannot come and stand before them to say that you want to now gain such freedom or such take a bow or dignity you actually required. The functionality is in this past administration as minister, he didn't do badly, but you see that the way he has responded to the issue of that 58 billion naira project was, I personally too didn't like the way he reacted. We must have ministers that we are accountable to, and the people that can take such account are the legislators using their oversight function instruments to checkmate what is going on. Those monies, I tell you, those projects, today nobody can come out and tell us how that project was swiftly or firmly executed. These are the issues, and I thank God that the legislation this time didn't look at the presidency to say because you're a nominee they cannot call it to the books. They did that vehemently, and I was very happy that they even stepped down his screening until further the House even broke into session to reconsider him, and bravely he also apologized to the Assembly and brought back his dignity. Ways forward, we should know that the instrument of the legislation is the one that brings about the ministerial appointment. So they have the function to checkmate and invite you where they feel that things are not going on well. They do the appropriation before you go into the execution. So when they invite you, or when the senators want to, or the Assembly, generally the legislation want to interfere in executions, and if it is constitutional, ministers, permanent secretaries, the executives should be able to come to the floor again the way they've come now to be screened. Come to the floor and explain certain things to them. Sometimes I know that there are committees at committee level they will be invited, not necessarily on the floor. At committee level, you can meet the committee members, explain things to them, sort things out. Like my colleague rightly said that division of labor, but there's also little connectivity in their functions. The legislation, the executive, and the judiciary, they function together. There's this connect that keeps them together to ensure that the tendencies of the democracy is upheld. So I think the senator yesterday that brought that issue brought it for a sample case.
Sorry to cut in. Do you think the lesson has been learned here, or do you think it could have ended in another way that would have really shown? That effect alone cannot deter him from being screened. What I wanted was the core issue. They would have allowed the nominee, what is his name, Festus Keyamo, to tell Nigerians what really happened before they would have concluded his nomination. That is where I faulted what happened yesterday. They would have given him the floor 10-20 minutes. He was the minister in charge of that project. 10-20 minutes, that was the call of that senator, that he should tell Nigerians what went on. Secondly, he disrespected the legislation. So he has apologized, but has not told Nigerians how he fared with that project. So I think he still have a lot to answer. But
in their fairness, they've allowed him undergone the screening. I think that even yesterday he has even been confirmed. His name didn't come out in the 3 names yet to be confirmed. But I think they've given him a sailing, a free sailing right to sail off, and then they've confirmed him. But I think for accountability's sake, Festus Keyamo should come out to disassociate himself from those speculations on that 58 billion naira. I think it was a palliative, yes.
No, it's not palliative, it's work program.
Work program, yeah,
yes,
exactly.
2020, yeah.
Yes, 2020. So I think that's my take on that. So there's a lot has been learned on that. Ministers will now also know that they are aware that the legislations have the right, the real constitutional right, to invite them where they feel things are not going on right.
All right, so we'll still expand on this, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on the nature of the nominations. A lot of persons say prior to the list being released, and it was released in two batches.
Yes.
One of the batches actually came outside of the deadline. But
yes,
away from that, people say there's a lot of seeming political remuneration or payments going on here. That when it comes to the actual, the word they use is technocrats, maybe there are not so many. And that being said, let's take a look at one example. We have one of the Kano nominees, Miriam Shetty. Her name was on the list, and at the end of the day, she got to the National Assembly, and that was when she found out that she was no longer on the list. And a lot of people have been speculating. The APC members have come here to say that the main issue was that she did not come through the hierarchy of the Kano State. And that the current APC national chairman wasn't really involved. I'm talking about Ganuje, who is seen to be the leader
of the
in
party
that state.
in Kano.
Yes, and so that happened. That being said, are you pleased with the nature of nominations, or do you think perhaps there should have been more effort put into, what I call it, capacity?
Okay, in as much as we glamour that technocrats should be at the level of execution, you cannot also take away political participation. First of all, the presidency is won on the party ticket. Ahmed Bola Tinubu didn't run election on his own. What it implies is that he has party support. About 8 million party members stood firm and voted him. And amongst these 8 million Nigerians that voted him, they are technocrats. They are party members. If you look at the list, the governor of Rivers State is not just a politician, he's a lawyer. So that is a technocrat on his field. My brother here sitting down here is an engineer and a politician. So we shouldn't think that this technocrat we're talking about is people from the blues. In the political setting, there are people that are professionals in their level. They are engineers, they are doctors, they are whatever. All profession you can think about, they are there. Also practicing, although involved in politics. Technocrats should begin to also involve themselves in politics. When we are saying that youths should not excommunicate themselves from politics, they should be part of the political process, so that when the gains comes, they will also consider the youthful age. So the same thing goes to the technocrats. You don't expect the president or a governor to win his election, and after winning, he goes on out of 48 ministers, appoint nobody from his party. Look at what I'm a little bit pleased with what the president has done. Out of 24 governors, I'm sure, that supported him to win his election, he took only 5 from that sector. His political parties divide. He also took some numbers, and then he spread the rest to cover up the national character we expected of. So I think if you look at the spread on the nominations, is 90% correct, far better than what President Muhammad Buhari did in recent past. So I think people that are crying about this is people that have failed in their own sector. Yesterday I watched what is his name, Delta State, the man that took he was a senator, what's his name, remind me please, it was a flag bearer for APC, Omar Agege, crying foul. This is sad. I didn't expect him to do that kind of a thing. They gave you in your state, they gave you the right to carry the party flag. If you had won, would you be crying foul of ministerial nomination from your state? You lost that one. They've also given other people nomination, ministerial rights. And today you're coming to chat instead of putting hands together with them. It doesn't matter. The president do not check where you come from when he wants to pick people from the state. It can be from the same family, but whereas they are competent and good enough for that function or that position he is trying to slip them for, so be it. The most important thing that somebody should be taken from the state. No state should be left behind. Today we are seeing very gullible and politicians begin to talk about in the state the nominations came from North Central, Middle Central. That is, to me, that is uncalled for, and we should condemn that. The most important thing is that people must be taken from, or should be taken from, each state to cover up their representation, to cover up the project executions in all stratas. So, and that is what the president has, if you look at it, done in fairness. You cannot satisfy human beings. That is sacrosanct. But I think in this nomination the president has made, he has been so fair. He carried even political parties, other political parties that supported him to win this election. He also touched that olive branch he talked about, the unity government. The first time in our political history, we are seeing people that are not of APC becoming ministers. So please, we should give democracy its chance and stop drawing ourselves back because of selfish interests. I think that is my take on that. Firmly, I want to say that the president has done very well in his level of nomination.
All right, that's fair enough. Let me hear from you now. Still on that issue, I don't know if you've seen the trending photo of the former Zamfara governor's educational qualifications, and people are saying, what level of education do we have here, and pedigree for to be a minister. That being said, we have 48 nominees. I believe is the highest that we've seen.
I think so.
Yes, so far.
Yes. Yeah. Now, these 48 persons are also going to have advisors. They're also going to have assistants.
Certainly.
We saw earlier the NLC chairman saying that when he, queried the government about this large, number of this bulky government, this large government, the reply was that it was creating employment, which is not, that's another issue. But the question now is, during this era of fuel subsidy removal, where the president has come out on different occasions to tell Nigerians that, please sacrifice, please understand, does it make a lot of sense that we're still getting such large, bulky governments at this time?
Well, let me first commend the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Asuwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for doing the right thing. In fact, he tried to, what the Constitution has said, that each state should have a representative, each state. Now that we have commended him for including the native of FCT, now they have also been considered. This is something that we have to commend him for doing that. I think it is the first of its kind since the advent of our democracy since 1999. Of course, we have commended him, and this shows that he is a man of his word, he is a man of principle, he understands the feelings of the people of Abuja. He decided to include them in his cabinet. This is highly commendable. We appreciate him for doing that. Of course, as my brother has said, that all the 36 states were equally represented, in the sense that each state has a nominee, while some certain states were considered more. Like my state, we have Bauchi state, we have 2 nominees. There is a technocrat that I have said earlier that the combination of his cabinet will be based on politicians, technocrat, and even though they are all politicians, but we have known the antecedent of Dr. Ali Fateh, Professor Ali Fateh. He's a technocrat. He came here he left his work in the United States. He decided to come back and give his own quota for the development and movement of the country, so that the country can move forward. Of course, you have said something regarding the qualification of certain nominee that I have seen, the former governor of Zamfara State. If you look at his antecedent, firstly, you should consider what the Constitution has said for a certain person to be able to hold a position in the cabinet or to stand for election. It has said that the minimum qualification is SSCE, that is secondary school leaving certificate, or any certificate that is accepted, that is equivalent, or that is accepted by INEC to be able to send. I think that man, if you are fair to him, his people decided to elect him as a 2 times House of Representatives member, or perhaps more than. They decided to vote for him for governor in a good 4 years. So I think he has the requisite experience.
Yes.
He has the experience to be able to pilot the affairs of his people, and they decided to give him chance, and he has done. Of course, he has tried his best, while now the president decided to see that he want to see him in the Federal Executive Council. Of course, he has something to offer. As I said earlier, the president has made his appointment. We hope that they will be optimal, they will do to the best of their ability to move this country forward. While anyone that decided to do otherwise, the president is here. He is the kind of person that checkmate the activities of his ministers. So if you try to do otherwise, you can be sacked, and then someone will be replaced, so that to do things the way it is expected to do. In a democracy, we need inclusion of everybody. We need the inclusion. Now he is the president of all Nigerians. Forget about the party. This is my party. This one, he is the one who have voted for me. No, now he is the president of all. That's why he decided to go outside his party to appoint someone in his cabinet, so that he is trying to show the country, he is trying to show the Nigerian people that he is there for all. He is trying to show that let's everybody come together so that we can build this nation. Of course, he has started in a very positive way, even though there are certain decisions that are still biting the country, that they are not in tandem with what the masses has expected. But we hope that he should be a listening president. He should come back and listen to the yearning and aspiration of the Nigerian people, so that whatever decision the executive had decided to take that is Nigerians are not welcoming it, let them review it in the sense that it will be, we are expecting them to give Nigerians their best. We expect them, they were being elected to give suko, to give, not to give Nigerians suffer, not Nigerians to suffer while they have voted for them.
Right, just to cut in there, when you say not for Nigerians to suffer while they are in there, do you think the country needs 48 ministers?
Of course, it needs 48 ministers. Even if the cabinet can be able to accommodate more than they are, it depends on what ministries do we have. What functions are they trying to? We will see now. He has not given them portfolio. We will see from the portfolio. Of course, there are certain ministries that are big enough. If you look at the then Minister of Power, Works and Housing,
yes,
the work is too bulky. We need a Minister of Power, different program. We need a Minister of Works. We need a Minister. You understand? So that if the load is too much, for you cannot be able to do to the expectation of the office. You cannot be able to, the workload will be too much, even though you have advisors. But we hope that if the ministries are being separated, there will be separation, their work will be easy, so that we will have a smooth running of the government. Of course, what he did is very right, is in the right direction to appoint certain number of ministers. They will violate the affairs of this country. Me, I am intending with what the president did.
All right, so we'll still, be on the lookout to see how Nigerians are taking it, when we see, what the large cabinet collects or has to take away from the country, but in any case for good work. But Mr. Duke, while you're here, I have to ask, because you're a PDP member, I just have to ask, within your party, how would you say things are going with the fact that a card-carrying PDP member is in this cabinet and has seemed to be very favorable? In fact, he has said a whole lot openly. It's no longer a secret. That he worked for this government, he made them emerge. Now he's now a part of the government. That aside, recently I believe the PDP governors had some sort of meeting, I think with the presidential candidate, and the River State governor and Oyo State governor were not there. That being said, some lists were released recently for campaign for the PDP, and yet Governor Wike and members of his G5 remained on these lists. So is the party okay with what is happening?
Okay, until the G5 governors declare themselves not members of the PDP, they remain members of the PDP. And we can see how fast democracy is growing in this country. It has moved away. Like we in the youth sector, we did something very fantastic. We didn't rely on party. Even though we are card-carrying members of one political party or the other, we looked at personalities. We looked at people that can fit into what the work at hand is. We didn't support straight jacket party during the elections. We looked at individuals. In some states, our leaders supported the APC. We gave them that support. In some states, some of our leaders supported the PDP, and we gave them that support. At national, we gave our support to who we felt that should be to lead our country. Like I emphasized on some radio television stations, I said, if you take a good look at all the persons that contested for the presidency, they are all equal to the task.
Certainly.
Both the present president, Peter Obi of the Labour Party, Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, Kwankwaso of the NNPP. They were all solid and very what I call experienced leaders, that any of them that come into power will still be doing what is expected. They know the problem of the country, they know the solutions, they are not new in governance. So I think politics changed, and we've been clamoring that politics shouldn't be that when once a political party loses election, it is just way out of the whole process. There should be a strong opposition, or even from unity government. All we want to see, like he rightly also said, is to project Nigeria for the better. It doesn't matter. But once, take a look at the Senate. But once election is won, the Senate is one body, made up of different political ideologies. So they don't discuss party there again. They discuss policies, they discuss oversight functions, they discuss representation to the effect of a good governance or good representation for their constituency. So politics had gone past party. So the former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, being a member of this cabinet, shows that politics is beginning to change. If a political party decide to field candidates are not standard, they will definitely lose election, because even the party members will vote for a more standard candidate during election. So it is a call for political parties to begin to stand firm, not to just give people the right to contest, but scrutinize candidates or aspirants before they become candidates, so that even your party members will say, no, this one that my party brought out is not strong enough. They will vote the one that is strong enough.
But doesn't make your or put your party up for ridicule? That
no.
Even the leaders are working for
let me tell you something. Do you think that there are APC people that didn't work for the PDP? I'm telling you what was obtainable. People didn't rely on party basis. Do you think 8 million persons that voted for Asiwaju in this election are all PDP APC people? That the answer is no. Do you think 7 million or 13% million that voted for the other two political leaders were people from their party? What political structure have Labour to have gotten 6 million votes? They are APC, PDP, other political party members that supported him. So this is what we are talking about. So we should be careful of how we begin to express democracy from yesterday and today.
All right.
The next election is going to also differ. You will see the dynamics it will come with. People are beginning to be aware of good leadership, the essence and benefits of good leadership. So if your party or my party decides to go and field a less worthy candidate, they should expect that a more firm and standard candidate will win such election at that strata. It's a gift to take. I don't want to dabble into the G5 issues and all that, but I think it's commendable. What we need in this country is, when election is finished, people should put hands on deck and see how they can criticize bad policies, appraise good policies, support good policies, and see how the country can go on. Let me tell you something before I leave the stage. Even when you stand at the right of opposition, why did Jonathan come to government? They stood at the opposition side that time and criticized government positively, and people began to say that if the likes of Yaradua and Jonathan and those people they're on this side trying to criticize, it means when they come they will do well. So that's how they gain political parties. So it's not because you've lost election, you leave the country, you fly out, kick against it, ferment problems. No, that is not the way forward. We want to see a Nigeria that is working. We want to see when election is won, and the cases are in the tribunal. If the tribunal decides otherwise, if the Supreme Court decides otherwise, whoever becomes president of the country, every hands must be on deck so that we build a common country. All
right, that's fair enough. We've run out of time now, but something you said, I think it should be a key takeaway here. Parties should understand that if they do not feel the best, even their members, can do whatever, which means that the country is being put before the party. So thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure. I'm hearing from you. Thank you, Mr. Duke Alamboye, Mr. Tijani Ahmed Tajuddin. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, that's all we can take on this segment. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll be delving into the Niger coup aftermath, and After that, we'll go on a short break and bring you more updates. Stay with us. We'll be right back.